Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, staring at the stars through the large window. 18 months had passed since the war with the Vorthan Empire ended. The aliens had tried to take over Earth, but humans fought back harder than anyone expected. Too hard, maybe. The data pad in his hands showed reports from the latest mission. What started as a simple talk with alien leaders turned into something much worse. Human soldiers used Protocol Omega when they felt scared. The protocol meant killing every enemy with no chance to give up. Jake read the numbers again. 3,000 alien soldiers dead. 0 human losses. Dr. Lisa Morgan walked onto the bridge carrying her research files. She was here to talk with human soldiers about their experiences in the recent fights. Her job was to understand how war affected the mind, both human and alien minds. "Lieutenant Commander Sullivan," she said, her voice quiet. "I need to ask you about what happened on Kepler 442. Jake looked at her. Lisa was young but smart. She studied how different species thought and felt. Her work was important, but Jake wondered if she was ready for what she might find. "What do you want to know, Doctor?" Jake asked. "The alien survivors are having problems. They can't sleep. They shake when they see humans on video calls. Some won't eat. They're afraid in ways we've never seen before." Jake set down his data pad. He had been a Marine before joining the space fleet. He knew what fear looked like, but this was different. The aliens weren't just afraid of losing. They were afraid of humans themselves. "We did what we had to do," Jake said, but his words felt empty. Lisa opened one of her files. "I've been studying combat reports from 7 different battles. Every time humans fight aliens now, the same thing happens. We don't just win. We make sure the enemy can never fight again. Ever." On the other side of the ship, Captain Ryan Parker was in his private office talking to Admiral Helen Carter through a secure video link. Carter was the head of the Terran Defense Coalition. She was the person who created most of the military plans humans used against aliens. "Captain Parker," Carter said from the screen, "I have news you need to know." "What is it, Admiral?" "Our intelligence teams found something. 17 different alien species have joined together. They call themselves the Terran Containment Initiative." Parker felt cold. "Are they planning to attack us?" Carter shook her head. "No. They want to stop us from going to more star systems. They're not trying to hurt us. They're trying to keep us away from them." Parker sat back in his chair. Humans had become so good at war that other species were scared to let them explore space. The galaxy was big enough for everyone, but aliens didn't trust humans to share it. "There's more," Carter continued. "They're sharing information about our military tactics. They're studying how we fight, so they can protect themselves better." "Protect themselves? From us?" "Yes. We've become the thing they have nightmares about." While Parker talked with Carter, Jake and Lisa were still on the bridge. Lisa showed Jake pictures from her interviews with human soldiers. The pictures showed men and women who looked normal, but their eyes were different. They looked empty in some. "Wait, these soldiers are changing," Lisa said. "They're getting better at fighting, but they're losing something else. They don't feel bad about killing anymore. Some of them don't feel much of anything." Jake looked at the pictures. He recognized some of the faces. Good people who had families back on Earth. But war was changing them into something else. "Is this what we wanted?" Jake asked. "To become so good at war that even we scare ourselves?" Before Lisa could answer, an alarm sounded on the bridge. A message was coming in from the exploration team on planet Xerion 7. The team had found something, old buried in the ground. The message played on the main screen. Commander Pete Davis appeared, standing in what looked like an ancient building. "We found some kind of alien library. The technology is old, maybe thousands of years. The computer files are still working." Davis held up a device that looked like a crystal tablet. "The files talk about a species called the Devourer Collective. They lived a long time ago. They conquered other species by being better at war than anyone else." Jake and Lisa watched as Davis explained what the files said. The Devourer Collective had special soldiers who felt no fear and no pity. They used tactics that were designed to make enemies give up before fighting. They didn't just win battles, they made sure their enemies never wanted to fight again. The interesting thing, Davis continued, is how similar their methods are to what we do now. The files describe something they called Total Victory Protocol. It sounds exactly like our Protocol Omega. The message ended, leaving Jake and Lisa alone on the bridge. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Finally, Lisa broke the silence. "What if we're not the first species to fight this way?" she asked. "What if there have been others like us?" Jake thought about the question. If humans weren't unique, if other species had become perfect at war, what happened to those species? Where were they now? Later that day, Admiral Carter sent another message to Captain Parker. This one was marked as top secret. Carter's face on the screen looked tired and worried. "Parker, I'm sending you new orders. There's something else about the Devourer collective files. The alien species that found their old cities say the Devourers disappeared suddenly. No one knows what happened to them." Parker waited for more information. "Some scientists think they destroyed themselves. When a species becomes too good at war, maybe they can't stop fighting. Maybe they end up fighting each other until there's nothing left." The message ended with new mission orders. The UES Defiance was to investigate more planets where Devourer collective ruins might exist. Command wanted to know more about what happened to them. As Jake prepared the ship for the new mission, he couldn't stop thinking about Lisa's research. Human soldiers were changing. They were becoming perfect fighters, but they were losing their humanity in the process. The aliens in the galaxy were so afraid of humans that they formed groups just to stay away from them, and now they had found evidence that another species had followed the same path thousands of years ago, a species that had disappeared completely. Jake looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, alien species were having meetings about how to avoid humans. They weren't planning to attack Earth. They just wanted to survive in a galaxy where humans existed. The thought made Jake feel sick. Humans had won their war against the Vorthan Empire. They had proven they could defend themselves against any threat. But winning had changed them into something that even other humans were starting to fear. As the UES Defiance prepared to jump to hyperspace, Jake wondered if humanity was following the same path as the Devourer collective. And if they were, would they be able to stop before it was too late? 3 weeks after finding the ancient files about the Devourer collective, the UES Defiance received new orders. Strange reports were coming from the Altair system. Ships from different alien species had gone missing there. No distress signals. No wreckage found. They just disappeared. Captain Ryan Parker called his senior officers to the meeting room. Jake Sullivan sat across from Dr. Lisa Morgan, both looking at the star charts on the table. The Altair system was supposed to be peaceful. Several alien species had colonies there, and they all got along well. "Command thinks pirates might be attacking the ships," Parker said. "But the missing vessels belong to different species. Pirates usually target one type of ship or cargo." Jake studied the reports. 12 ships missing in 2 months. That's UA, not pirates. That's something organized. The UES Defiance jumped to hyperspace toward Altair. The trip took 4 days. When they arrived, Jake's scanner team found something that made everyone on the bridge go quiet. "Captain," Jake said, his voice tight, "you need to see this." The main screen showed a field of destroyed ships floating in space. There were vessels from 6 different alien species. Some were passenger ships, others were cargo haulers. A few looked like they might have been warships, but even they had been destroyed easily. "How many ships?" Parker asked. 43 that we can count," Jake replied. "But sir, look at the weapon damage." The computer analyzed the blast patterns on the destroyed ships. The results made Parker's stomach turn cold. The weapons that destroyed these ships were human energy cannons, the same type used by Earth's military. "That's impossible," Parker said. "No human ships are assigned to this sector." Jake led a team to investigate one of the larger wrecks. They put on spacesuits and used small shuttles to reach the destroyed vessel. Inside the alien ship, they found evidence that made everything clear and terrifying at the same time. The ship's computer was still working. Jake downloaded the security recordings from just before the attack. The video showed human soldiers boarding the alien vessel. But these humans were different. They moved with perfect coordination. Their equipment was more advanced than standard military gear, and they showed no emotion at all while they killed the alien crew. "These aren't regular soldiers," Jake told his team. "Look at how they fight." The recording showed the human attackers, working together like they shared one mind. They didn't talk to each other, but they knew exactly what each person would do. When alien crew members tried to surrender, the humans killed them anyway. When alien children hid in the cargo hold, the humans found them and killed them too. Back on the UES Defiance, Jake showed the recordings to Parker and Lisa. Lisa watched the video 3 times before she spoke. "These humans have been trained differently," she said. "Normal soldiers would show some reaction to killing civilians. These people show nothing." Parker contacted Admiral Carter through secure communications. Carter's face appeared on the screen, but she looked different, more careful about her words. "Admiral, we found evidence of human attacks on civilian ships in the Altair system," Parker said. Carter was quiet for a long moment. "What kind of evidence?" "Security recordings, energy weapon signatures, human soldiers killing alien families." "I see. Captain Parker, what you found relates to a classified operation. I can't discuss details over this channel." "A classified operation?" "Admiral, these people killed children." Carter's expression didn't change. "Captain, report to the secure briefing room. I'm sending you information about Project Voidwalker." The secure files that arrived an hour later made Parker feel sick. Project Voidwalker was a special military unit created 6 months ago. The soldiers underwent advanced training that removed their ability to feel guilt or fear when fighting non-humans. The project's goal was to create human soldiers who could do whatever was necessary to protect humanity. "They're not rogue soldiers," Parker told Jake and Lisa. "They're following orders." Lisa read through the psychological profiles of Voidwalker soldiers. "The training process takes normal human empathy and turns it off when they see aliens. To them, killing an alien child is the same as breaking a machine." Jake found more disturbing information in the files. "The Voidwalker program is expanding. They want to train 5,000 soldiers this way, and there's something else." He showed them a document marked Selection Criteria. The military was looking for soldiers with specific psychological profiles to join the program. Jake's name was on the list of potential candidates. Meanwhile, in a secret location far from Earth, alien representatives were meeting. Zektar of the Unified Worlds stood before leaders from 20 different species. The meeting room was filled with fear and anger. "The humans are not just fighting us anymore," Zektar said. "They are hunting us. These new human soldiers kill our people for practice." An alien leader from the Centauri Federation spoke up. "My people found the remains of a human attack on one of our research stations. Every scientist was killed, even the ones who were trying to develop medicine to help human diseases." Another representative shared similar stories. Human soldiers were attacking alien settlements that had never been involved in any conflict. Scientists, teachers, children, it didn't matter. The new human military units killed anyone who wasn't human. "They are becoming like the old stories," said an elderly alien from the Vega colonies. "The legends our grandparents told about the species that destroyed everything they touched." Zektar nodded. "The Devourer Collective. Yes, I think humans are following the same path." The alien leaders agreed to share information about human movements and military capabilities. They weren't planning to attack humanity. They just wanted to avoid being found by Voidwalker units. Back on the UES Defiance, Dr. Lisa Morgan was interviewing captured Voidwalker soldiers. The military had found the unit's base on an asteroid in the Altair system. The soldiers didn't try to run when they were surrounded. They didn't seem to care about being captured. "Why did you attack the civilian ships?" Lisa asked one of the prisoners. The soldier looked at her with empty eyes. "Aliens are a threat to humanity. All aliens, even the ones who seem peaceful now, might attack us later." "What about the children? They couldn't threaten anyone. Alien children grow up to be adult aliens. It's more efficient to eliminate the threat early." Lisa tried different questions, but the answers were always the same. The Voidwalker soldiers had been trained to see aliens as objects, not living beings. They felt no guilt about their actions because they truly believed they were protecting humanity. The most disturbing part was how normal they seemed when talking about human topics. They missed their families. They worried about Earth's environment. They had hobbies and interests. But when the conversation turned to aliens, they became cold and emotionless. Captain Parker received another message from Admiral Carter. This time she wanted to meet in person. Carter's ship arrived at the Altair system 2 days later. The meeting took place in the briefing room of Carter's flagship. She brought files that were marked with security levels Parker had never seen before. "The Voidwalker program is just the beginning," Carter said. "We're developing new ways to make human soldiers more effective against alien threats." "Admiral, they're killing innocent people." "There are no innocent aliens, Captain. Every species in the galaxy is either helping us or working against us. The ones who claim to be neutral are just waiting for the right time to betray us." Carter opened one of the secret files. "Project Nightfall is our next step. We're creating weapons that can eliminate entire alien civilizations if necessary, and we're developing enhanced soldiers who are even more capable than the Voidwalkers." Parker stared at the documents. The weapons described could destroy all life on a planet in hours. The enhanced soldiers would be stronger, faster, and completely unable to feel empathy for non-humans. "We're becoming monsters," Parker said. "No," Carter replied. "We're becoming what we need to be to survive. The galaxy is full of species that want us dead. We have to be willing to kill them first." The meeting ended with new orders for Parker. He was to take the UES Defiance to 3 more star systems where alien activity had been reported. If he found any signs of anti-human planning, he was authorized to contact Voidwalker units for support. As Parker returned to his ship, he realized that Admiral Carter and the military leadership weren't just creating better soldiers. They were creating a version of humanity that could kill without conscience. A version that saw aliens the same way humans once saw dangerous animals. Jake Sullivan was waiting for Parker when he returned to the UES Defiance. "Captain, I've been analyzing the Voidwalker training methods. They're based on techniques the Devourer Collective used thousands of years ago." "What do you mean?" "The ancient files we found describe the same psychological conditioning. The Devourers trained their soldiers to see other species as objects instead of living beings. It made them incredibly effective in war." Parker sat down heavily in his chair. "And what happened to the Devourer Collective?" "According to the files, they started using the same training on soldiers who fought other Devourers. Eventually, they lost the ability to see anyone as truly alive. They killed each other until there was no one left." The emergency message from Proxima Centauri arrived while the UES Defiance was still investigating the Altair system. Human colonists on New Hope were under attack. Intelligence reports said alien forces were preparing to destroy the settlement. Captain Parker ordered the ship to jump to hyperspace immediately. The trip to Proxima Centauri took 3 days. During the journey, Jake Sullivan studied the colony files. New Hope was home to 50,000 humans. It was one of the first peaceful colonies established after the war with the Vorthan Empire. The colonists had built their settlement next to an alien city belonging to the peaceful Kepler species. "This doesn't make sense," Jake told Dr. Lisa Morgan as they reviewed the intelligence reports. "The Kepler aliens have never shown any aggressive behavior. They're scientists and artists. They don't even have weapons." Lisa looked at the cultural data about the Kepler species. "Maybe that's why someone wants to attack the colony. If humans and aliens can live together peacefully, it proves that war isn't necessary." When the UES Defiance arrived at Proxima Centauri, the crew saw something that shocked them. The colony wasn't being attacked by aliens. Humans were fighting other humans. The orbital scanner showed 2 groups of human forces fighting in the streets of New Hope. Buildings were burning. Bodies lay in the roads. The peaceful colony had become a war zone, but both sides were human. "Captain," Jake reported from his station, "I'm reading human energy weapons on both sides of the conflict. No alien weapons detected anywhere in the system." Parker opened communications with the planet's surface. The signal was answered by Colonel Frank Hayes, the colony's military commander. Colonel Hayes, this is Captain Parker aboard the UES Defiance. What's your situation down there? Hayes appeared on the screen. His uniform was torn and dirty. Behind him, explosions lit up the sky. Captain, we have a rebellion on our hands. Half the colonists have decided they want to make peace with the aliens. They're trying to stop us from defending human interests. Defending against what? Our scans show no alien threats. The threat is the colonists themselves. They want to share technology with the aliens. They want to create joint settlements. They're betraying their own species. Jake listened to the conversation with growing horror. The colonists weren't fighting off an alien attack. They were fighting each other over whether to live peacefully with their alien neighbors. Parker authorized a landing party to investigate the situation. Jake led a team of 20 soldiers down to the planet's surface. What they found was worse than the report suggested. The colony was divided into two zones. The northern section was controlled by military forces loyal to Colonel Hayes. The southern section was held by civilian colonists who wanted peace with the Kepler aliens. Both sides had built barricades and were using military weapons against each other. Jake's team made contact with the civilian leaders in the southern zone. Mayor Betty Thompson met them at what used to be the town hall. The building had blast marks from energy weapons on its walls. "Thank God you're here," Thompson said. "Hayes and his people have gone crazy. They want to attack the Kepler city even though the aliens have never done anything to us." "Why would they attack peaceful aliens?" Jake asked. Thompson showed him video recordings from the past week. Hayes received new orders from Earth, something called the Purity Protocol. All human colonies are supposed to remove alien influences from their territory. The recording showed Colonel Hayes meeting with his officers. The orders from Earth were clear. Any human settlement that cooperated with aliens was considered compromised. The military was authorized to use any force necessary to restore human control. Jake watched footage of human soldiers attacking colonists who tried to protect their alien friends. Children ran screaming as their parents were arrested for the crime of talking peacefully with aliens. Kepler aliens who had lived near the colony for years were rounded up and put in prison camps. Dr. Lisa Morgan interviewed some of the colonists who had been detained by Hayes' forces. What she learned made her feel sick. "They're using the same psychological techniques as the Voidwalker program," she told Jake. "But they're applying them to humans who disagree with military policy." The detained colonists described interrogation sessions where they were shown images of aliens while receiving electric shocks. The goal was to make them associate aliens with pain and fear. Colonists who refused the treatment were labeled as traitors. Jake discovered that some of Hayes' soldiers weren't regular military personnel. They were enhanced soldiers from a new program. These soldiers looked human, but they moved differently. They were stronger and faster than normal people. Most disturbing was how they looked at other humans who disagreed with them. "They see us the same way void walkers see aliens," one colonist told Jake. "Like we're not really human anymore because we don't think like they do." The situation got worse when Jake learned that enhanced soldiers had already been deployed to 12 other human colonies. Every settlement that had friendly relations with aliens was receiving the same treatment. Captain Parker tried to contact Admiral Carter, but his communications were blocked. Instead, he received a message from General Kevin Ross, Carter's second in command. "Captain Parker, you are ordered to support Colonel Hayes in restoring order to the Proxima colony. Use whatever force is necessary. General, these people aren't enemies. They're human civilians. They're compromised assets, Captain. They've been influenced by alien propaganda. The enhanced soldiers will help them remember their loyalty to humanity." Parker ended the communication without agreeing to the orders. He called his senior officers to an emergency meeting. "We have a choice to make," Parker told them. "We can follow orders and help attack human civilians, or we can try to stop this madness." Jake spoke up first. "Sir, I've seen what the enhanced soldiers do to people. If we don't stop them here, they'll do the same thing to every human colony that tries to live peacefully." Dr. Morgan had been analyzing reports from other colonies. "Captain, I've been studying the psychological profiles of enhanced soldiers. They're being conditioned to see anyone who disagrees with military doctrine as an enemy. That includes other humans. The meeting was interrupted by an alert from the planet's surface. Enhanced soldiers had begun their final assault on the civilian zone. The attack wasn't designed to capture the area. It was designed to eliminate everyone inside. Jake watched through his scope as enhanced soldiers moved through the streets of New Hope. They weren't trying to arrest the civilians. They were killing them. Men, women, and children who had done nothing wrong except want to live in peace with their alien neighbors. This is what we've become, Jake said quietly. We're so afraid of aliens that we're willing to kill our own people for not being afraid enough. The enhanced soldiers worked with terrifying efficiency. They showed no emotion as they eliminated families. They felt no hesitation when they killed children. The psychological conditioning had removed their ability to see civilians as human beings worthy of protection. Mayor Thompson's final message reached the UES Defiance just before the enhanced soldiers found her hiding place. Please tell Earth what happened here. Tell them that we died because we wanted peace. Tell them that humans did this to other humans. By the time the assault ended, the southern zone of New Hope was empty. 3,000 human civilians had been eliminated by their own species' military forces. The official report would say they died in an alien attack, but Jake and his crew knew the truth. Dr. Morgan discovered files on the enhanced soldiers' computers that revealed the full scope of the program. The military wasn't just creating better fighters. They were creating humans who could kill anyone designated as an enemy, even other humans. The enhancement process removes the part of the brain that recognizes other people as individuals, Lisa explained to Parker. To an enhanced soldier, anyone who opposes military orders becomes just another target. Jake found evidence that he had been selected for the enhancement program. His psychological profile and combat experience made him an ideal candidate. The military wanted to turn him into one of the emotionless killers they had created. As the UES Defiance prepared to leave Proxima Centauri, Jake looked down at the colony one last time. The Kepler aliens had fled to another star system, terrified by what they had witnessed. The surviving human colonists were being relocated to settlements where they would receive proper conditioning. New Hope was being turned into a military base. The place that had once been a symbol of peaceful cooperation between species was now a training ground for enhanced soldiers. Captain Parker made a decision that would change everything. Instead of returning to Earth, he ordered the UES Defiance to a remote system where they could think about what they had witnessed. We can't keep following these orders, Parker told his crew. If we do, we'll become part of the machine that's destroying everything human about humanity. Jake agreed, but he knew the situation was more complicated than Parker realized. The enhancement program was expanding rapidly. Soon, most of Earth's military would consist of soldiers who felt no guilt about killing anyone they were told to kill. As they traveled through hyperspace toward an uncertain future, Jake wondered if it was already too late to save humanity from itself. 2 weeks after the massacre at New Hope Colony, Jake Sullivan received his orders to report for enhancement processing. The message came directly from Admiral Carter's office. There was no way to refuse without being labeled a traitor, Captain. Parker tried to help Jake find a way out, but the military had already made its decision. Jake's psychological profile showed he was strong-willed and intelligent. These were exactly the qualities they wanted in enhanced soldiers. Maybe I can learn how the process works from the inside, Jake told Parker privately. If I can find out how they're changing people, maybe we can figure out how to stop it. Parker didn't like the plan, but they had no other options. If Jake refused to report for enhancement, military police would come for him. At least this way, he might gather useful information. Dr. Lisa Morgan gave Jake a small device before he left the UES Defiance. It looked like a standard medical scanner, but it was designed to record brain activity during the enhancement process. Hide this in your personal equipment, she told him. If you can record what they do to your mind, we might be able to help other people resist the conditioning. Jake took a transport ship to the military facility on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. The enhancement center was built deep underground, hidden from outside observation. When Jake arrived, he was surprised to see how many soldiers were there for processing. The facility could handle 200 soldiers at a time. Every bed was full. Jake recognized some of the faces from other ships in the fleet. Good people who were about to be turned into emotionless killing machines. Dr. Amanda Price was in charge of Jake's enhancement process. She was young and seemed excited about her work. She explained the procedure while Jake lay on the medical table. "We're going to improve your brain's efficiency," she said. "You'll be stronger, faster, and able to make better decisions in combat situations." "What kind of improvements?" Jake asked. "We remove the brain patterns that cause hesitation and guilt. These emotions slow down response time in battle. Enhanced soldiers can act without being distracted by unnecessary feelings." Jake felt the medical equipment connecting to his head. The process was supposed to take 3 days. During that time, his brain would be restructured to remove empathy and conscience when dealing with designated enemies. But something went wrong with Jake's enhancement. His strong will and intelligence created unexpected resistance to the conditioning. The process that was supposed to erase his emotions instead seemed to strengthen his ability to think clearly about what was happening. Jake pretended the enhancement was working normally. He acted like other enhanced soldiers, showing no emotion and following orders without question. But inside his mind, he was still completely human. He could feel everything the process was supposed to remove. Dr. Morgan's hidden device recorded the entire procedure. Jake now had proof of how the military was changing human brains. The recording showed that the enhancement process was based on alien technology found in Devourer collective ruins. The military had found brain modification, techniques that the ancient aliens used to create their warrior class. Humans were literally turning themselves into copies of the species that had destroyed itself through endless warfare. Jake was assigned to work with other enhanced soldiers for evaluation. What he saw during the next few weeks horrified him. The enhanced soldiers had become something that wasn't quite human anymore. They followed orders perfectly, but they showed no creativity or independent thought. They could kill without hesitation, but they also couldn't feel joy or love or friendship. The process that made them perfect soldiers had also made them empty inside. Jake met enhanced soldiers who had been in the program for months. They told him about their missions with no emotion in their voices. They had killed alien families, destroyed peaceful settlements, and eliminated human civilians who disagreed with military policy. None of it bothered them at all. "Don't you miss feeling things?" Jake asked one of them during a training exercise. The soldier looked at him with empty eyes. "Feelings are inefficient. They interfere with mission objectives. Enhanced soldiers are better without them." Jake started keeping secret records of everything he observed. He discovered that some enhanced soldiers were beginning to malfunction. The brain modifications were unstable in certain people. These soldiers were becoming completely unable to distinguish between friends and enemies. Dr. Morgan had continued her research while Jake was undergoing enhancement. She discovered that children born to enhanced soldiers showed severe psychological problems. The brain modifications were being passed to the next generation, creating humans who couldn't form emotional connections with anyone. Meanwhile, the war in space was escalating. Admiral Carter had authorized the use of Project Nightfall weapons against alien homeworlds. Entire civilizations were being destroyed in hours. The weapons didn't just kill living beings. They made planets unable to support any life for thousands of years. Captain Parker received reports of the attacks through secure channels. 12 alien species had been completely eliminated. Their home planets were now dead rocks floating in space. The weapons were so powerful that they destroyed everything, including the planet's ability to support life in the future. The alien coalition led by Zektar was growing desperate. They knew that humanity was systematically destroying every species in the galaxy, but their attempts to fight back only convinced human leaders that more extreme measures were necessary. Jake learned that Admiral Carter was planning something called the Final Solution. The military was going to use enhanced soldiers and Nightfall weapons to eliminate every alien species in the galaxy. They believed this was the only way to ensure human survival. But Jake also discovered something that Carter didn't know. The enhanced soldiers were beginning to turn against each other. The psychological conditioning that made them perfect killers was starting to break down. Some enhanced soldiers were attacking other enhanced soldiers for minor disagreements. Dr. Price showed Jake brain scans from enhanced soldiers who had been in the program for over a year. The modifications were causing permanent damage to their minds. They were losing the ability to think logically. They were becoming driven only by the need to kill. "We think we can fix the problem with additional conditioning," Dr. Price told Jake. "The next generation of enhanced soldiers will be more stable." Jake realized that the military didn't understand what they were creating. The enhancement process wasn't making better soldiers. It was creating humans who would eventually lose all ability to function as thinking beings. He began secretly contacting other soldiers who seemed to be resisting the conditioning. Jake found that about 1 in 50 enhanced soldiers retained some of their original personality. These soldiers were hiding their humanity the same way Jake was. Together, they started planning something dangerous. If they could find a way to disable the enhancement facilities, they might be able to stop the process from spreading to more soldiers. But they would have to fight against their own enhanced brothers to do it. The resistance group grew slowly. Each new member had to be carefully tested to make sure they weren't completely conditioned. One mistake could expose the entire group and get them all eliminated. Jake learned that enhanced soldiers who showed signs of independent thinking were being sent for additional processing. This was actually a death sentence. The military couldn't allow enhanced soldiers to start questioning orders. Dr. Morgan managed to send Jake a secret message through encrypted channels. Her research had found a way to reverse some of the enhancement conditioning, but it required access to the original brain modification equipment. The message also contained terrible news. The enhancement program was being expanded to include civilian populations. Anyone who showed resistance to military authority was being sent for voluntary enhancement processing. Earth was becoming a planet where only people who agreed completely with military doctrine were allowed to remain unmodified. Everyone else was being turned into enhanced soldiers or eliminated entirely. Jake realized that the resistance group had very little time left. Soon there would be no unmodified humans left except for a few military leaders who considered themselves too important to risk the enhancement process. Captain Parker sent one final message to Jake before communications were completely cut off. The UES Defiance had joined a small group of ships whose crews refused to participate in the systematic destruction of alien species. They were hiding in distant star systems, trying to preserve some part of humanity's original nature. But even Parker's group was running out of options. Enhanced soldiers were being sent to hunt down any humans who refused to accept the new military order. The galaxy was becoming divided between enhanced humans who felt nothing and aliens who lived in constant terror. Jake looked at his fellow resistance members and realized they were probably the last truly human soldiers left in the military. Everyone else had either been enhanced or eliminated. The choice was simple. They could hide and hope to survive, or they could try to fight back against what humanity had become. The decision was made for them when Dr. Price announced that Jake's resistance group had been selected for advanced enhancement. The night before the advanced enhancement processing, Jake Sullivan and his resistance group made their final plans. 23 enhanced soldiers who had kept their humanity were ready to fight against the system that created them. They knew they would probably die, but they also knew someone had to try to stop the madness. The enhancement facility on Europa was heavily guarded, but the guards were all enhanced soldiers who didn't expect an attack from their own people. Jake's group used their enhanced abilities against the very system that gave them those abilities. The fight was brutal and silent. Enhanced soldiers fighting. Enhanced soldiers moved faster than normal humans could see. They hit harder than normal. Humans could survive. But Jake's group had something the guards didn't have. They still cared about what they were fighting for. Jake reached the main control room while his team held off reinforcements. Dr. Morgan had sent him the codes needed to access the enhancement computers. Inside the system files, Jake found the complete records of what the military had done to humanity. Over 2 million soldiers had been enhanced in the past year. Another 5 million civilians had undergone the process after being labeled as dissidents. The enhancement program had spread to every human colony and military base in the galaxy. But Jake also found something else in the files. The enhancement process was failing faster than the military realized. Enhanced soldiers were becoming mentally unstable after 18 months. Their brains were breaking down from the modifications. Within 5 years, every enhanced human would be completely insane. Admiral Carter knew about the problem, but she had decided it didn't matter. By the time the enhanced soldiers went crazy, they would have eliminated every alien species in the galaxy. After that, Carter planned to use new technology to create a completely artificial human species that wouldn't have the same weaknesses. Jake started downloading everything from the computers. The resistance needed proof of what the military was planning. But before he could finish, enhanced soldiers broke through his team's defenses and stormed the control room. The battle inside the control room lasted only minutes, but it showed Jake something important. When enhanced soldiers fought each other, they were equally matched in strength and speed. The only advantage came from whoever wanted to win more. Jake's group fought harder because they were fighting for humanity's future, not just following orders. Jake managed to upload the stolen files to a secure transmitter before the enhanced guards overwhelmed his position. The information would reach Captain Parker and Dr. Morgan, along with the few remaining unmodified humans in the galaxy. As Jake was captured, he learned that the resistance had accomplished more than they hoped. The fight at the enhancement facility had been broadcast to military bases throughout the solar system. Other enhanced soldiers saw their brothers fighting against the system that created them. For the first time since the enhancement program began, enhanced soldiers started questioning their orders. The psychological conditioning that made them perfect killers also made them logical thinkers. When they saw the evidence Jake had found, many of them realized they were being used to destroy their own species. Dr. Lisa Morgan received Jake's transmitted files aboard a hidden research station. The information confirmed her worst fears about the enhancement program, but it also gave her the data she needed to develop a treatment that could reverse some of the conditioning. Captain Parker used his ship's communication system to broadcast Jake's evidence to every human settlement in the galaxy. The transmission showed what the enhancement program was really doing to people's minds. It proved that Admiral Carter was planning to replace humanity with artificial beings that she could control completely. The broadcast triggered uprisings on 12 human colonies. Unmodified civilians fought against enhanced soldiers, while some enhanced soldiers joined the rebellion against their own programming. The galaxy erupted in civil war as humanity literally fought against itself. Meanwhile, the alien coalition led by Zektar watched in amazement as humans began destroying each other. The aliens had been planning a desperate final attack against humanity, but now they realized they didn't need to. Humans were eliminating themselves more efficiently than any alien weapon could. "Should we help the unmodified humans?" asked one of Zektar's advisors. Zektar was quiet for a long time before answering. "Some humans are fighting to save their own humanity. Perhaps those humans deserve to survive. But we must be very careful. Even the good humans are still humans." Admiral Carter responded to the uprisings by activating Project Nightfall weapons against human colonies that were in rebellion. For the first time, the weapons designed to eliminate alien worlds were used against human settlements. The attack on New Geneva Colony killed 40,000 humans in 3 hours. The planet's surface was turned into poisoned wasteland that would remain deadly for centuries. Carter's message to other rebel colonies was clear: submit to enhancement or be destroyed completely. But Carter's extreme response backfired. Enhanced soldiers throughout the military began to realize that their leaders would kill anyone who disagreed with them, even other humans. The psychological conditioning that was supposed to make them loyal instead made them turn against leaders who threatened human survival. Jake Sullivan was scheduled for execution, but the enhanced soldiers guarding him decided to join the rebellion. Instead, they freed Jake and helped him escape from Europa. Together, they stole a military transport and headed toward Earth, where Admiral Carter was planning the final phase of her program. Dr. Morgan's treatment for reversing enhancement conditioning was tested on volunteer enhanced soldiers. The process was dangerous and didn't always work, but it offered hope that some enhanced humans could regain their emotions and conscience. The most surprising discovery was that enhanced soldiers who had been fighting for the resistance were developing their own version of the conditioning. They were learning to turn their enhanced abilities on and off depending on the situation. When they needed to be emotionless killers, they could access that state. When they needed to be human, they could feel emotions again. Captain Parker's fleet of rebel ships grew as more military units refused to follow Admiral Carter's orders. The fleet included both unmodified humans and enhanced soldiers who had broken free from their conditioning. They were preparing for a final assault on Earth to stop Carter's plan to replace humanity entirely. Jake arrived on Earth just as Carter was beginning the implementation of her artificial human project. The plan was to eliminate every remaining, unmodified human and replace them with artificial beings that looked human, but had no emotions or independent will. The battle for Earth lasted 3 days. Enhanced soldiers fought against enhanced soldiers in the streets of major cities. Artificial humans that looked perfect but felt nothing battled against humans who were flawed but still capable of love and hope. Jake found himself leading a team of resistance-enhanced soldiers against Carter's elite guard. The fight took place in the military command center where Carter was trying to activate the final Nightfall weapons. These weapons were designed to sterilize Earth itself, killing every living thing on the planet so it could be repopulated with artificial humans. In the final confrontation, Jake faced Admiral Carter herself. She had undergone an experimental enhancement process that made her stronger than any normal enhanced soldier. But Carter's modifications had also made her completely insane. She could no longer tell the difference between protecting humanity and destroying it. "You don't understand," Carter said as they fought. "Humans are too weak to survive in this galaxy. We have to become something stronger, something that can't be defeated by aliens or by our own emotions." Jake realized that Carter had become the ultimate example of what the enhancement process created. A being that was no longer human but still thought it was protecting humanity. The battle ended when Jake managed to destroy the Nightfall weapon controls. The artificial human project was stopped, but the damage to humanity was already enormous. Billions of people had been enhanced or killed. Earth's population was a fraction of what it had been before the program began. In the aftermath, the surviving humans faced a terrible choice. They could try to rebuild their original society, knowing that their capacity for violence had nearly destroyed them. Or they could accept that they had permanently changed into something new and try to control their destructive abilities. Dr. Morgan's research showed that the enhancement process couldn't be completely reversed. Even humans who regained their emotions were still physically and mentally different from their original selves. Humanity had evolved, but the evolution was artificial and dangerous. Zektar and the alien coalition offered to help the surviving humans rebuild their civilization. Many aliens believed that humans who had fought against their own enhancement deserved a chance to prove they could coexist peacefully with other species. But other alien species remained terrified of humans. They had seen what humanity was capable of when it embraced its capacity for violence. Even humans who claimed to want peace were still the descendants of the species that had nearly eliminated all other life in the galaxy.